So, sorry, I only see you every once in a while.
Taz, for those on Zoom, can you hear?
Yeah, appreciate it.
We're gonna say something. We've been treated in Curry County. Sheriff Perry, this is, don't pay.
But the rest of them, yeah. Next time, try to do. Well. So. They start at 6.
I would, that's one of the. Most of the people come here. 30 minutes ago.
I'm doing a sound check for those on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think we're okay with it.
What did this turn out? Yeah. Eldon, can you hear me?
Thank you all for gathering today. This is a joint public comment hearing hosted by the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission on 2 dockets, both SPS dockets, docket number 2566 UT and docket number 25 79 UT. And so these are some dockets that have to do with generation sources and other requests that SPS has submitted, including a rate case that they filed. So we're here at Chavez County. Thank you to the county for hosting us. And we're working a little bit with the IT equipment, so I think we'll have to figure out how we can hear people on Zoom, but that shouldn't be a problem for now because we have plenty of people in here to provide public comment. So I want to get this kicked off, but want to check with fellow commissioners here to see if you have any opening remarks.
Well, this will be the third stop on this tour this week, and we're certainly pleased to conclude our public roadshow in Roswell and certainly my hometown. Pleased to see the turnout today. We started in Clovis last night and had a good turnout, and then this morning we were in Hobbs and had a good turnout for our open meeting, and a number of public officials addressed us during that meeting, as well as members of the public. And so we hope we have a good discussion here this evening. And then we'll take all this stuff back to Tampa and Albuquerque and try to put it to work. We thank you for your attendance and hope that you appreciate the efforts that staff has made to get this part of the state to listen to the voices here. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo those statements. This is a third stop on our Southeast New Mexico tour. Very happy to be down here. As I've shared in the other meetings that, we do our work in accordance with state laws. There's lots of rules that govern how we do our work to try to make sure we do it fairly, but none of it's in a vacuum. And so it's very helpful to not just meet you where you live and hear what you've got to say, but, just driving from Clovis to Hobbs here, and it also puts a lot of what we're hearing in context. So it's been a great trip. Thank you for hosting us, Chavez County and Bangor, and it's a great way to wrap it up.
So I want to open the floor up to public officials who may want to speak. I know I saw Senator Wilson and Townsend, and I know we have other public officials here. And so far, it's just been excellent to be able to hear from you face to face in the last couple of public comment sessions that we had yesterday. So want to open it up to any public officials who might want to kick us off. Yes, Senator Townsend, please. I think the microphones there should be ready for you at the podium.
Hot and ready to go. Good, thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Apple Problem. The Bulldogs are playing in Albuquerque right now, so I won't be going. But I wanna, if I say nothing else, I want you to understand that what my constituents have told me to relay to you is that they need affordability, dependability, and dispatchability. We need power that supplies not only our industries, but our families. And we need to do that without regard to the weather. We desperately need them. We have industry that has been waiting, in some cases, over 4 years for power. Quite frankly, in a growing economy like we are enjoying in Southeast New Mexico right now, waiting for power is something that should not ever occur. Not for 4 years. That's just unacceptable. Now, I want to talk a little bit about affordability too, because I think PRC has missed the boat in remembering that people on fixed income deserve affordable power. For sure. One of the real problems is that people across New Mexico were sold on the fact that this EPA in this green energy that's cheap. And we have found that not to be true because prices have continued to rise as dependability failed. That's unacceptable. So I would encourage you to think about those three things: affordability, dependability, dispatchability. Remember not only the industries, but remember those families on fixed incomes with a rising cost. The infrastructure that has had to be approved to bring all these intermittent supplies together to make them look like they were dependable has missed the boat. We have spent millions of dollars. And I won't even start talking about the problems that I see how the IRPs have been used and the taxpayer dollars that have been used to support IRPs that had no jobs with them other than construction. And that's just not fair. So I know you guys got rules that you have to follow, but we desperately need real power that's dependable every day at affordable price. Thank you guys for good luck.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members. I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you today and welcome to Southern New Mexico. And I applaud you for having a road show because I do think it makes a difference in your perspective of the decision. I'm Rex Wilson. I'm a senator from Senate District 33. Have not been a senator quite 2 months yet. But as I stand before you today, I will share with you some of the most detailed and intense conversations I've had around energy and the nervousness that our constituents have in anticipating what the future might hold. They know that there's lots of changes in the works. We want to be pro-constituent first. We want to be pro-business in that same mindset and keep our regulation to a minimum. It's all easier said than done. And to follow up very specifically with, I agree with what Senator Townsend said. He's a hard man to follow because he speaks with such wisdom. But as I've tried to address the nervousness that is presented to me, I think there is a need for forward thinking. And when you think about, the data center proposals and the energy anticipation that they may need, and can they generate their own? And can they, are they going to threaten the rates? And are they going to threaten the supply? And we find ourselves in a situation here where Xcel's trying to meet the current demand at the same time of trying to address the anticipation demand that may be significantly unknown. So I stand in support today of their applications, and hopefully you're in the position that you can move forward with that. I think the concept of generation with natural gas is a good next step. Everybody supports clean energy. I've embraced a lot of clean energy on my business, but I don't think there's any one solution. And I think we need to be forward thinking enough to embrace all kinds of technologies as we try to address the energy demands and the energy supply. And so I think as you guys consider the rates, consider how we structure supply to meet the demand. And again, keeping in mind our constituents, keeping in mind our communities and our businesses, because we want to grow. We want our communities to grow. You guys have the details, you have the knowledge. I just want to stand and support what's being proposed to you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll say something real quick. Thank you guys for coming down here. Thank you for having all of our constituents, our local constituents are also your constituents. Thank you for giving them the time, your time to be here. I'm a Chavez County Commissioner, and I really appreciate everything you guys are considering and doing, but that's without being redundant to what the forefathers have said here. we just want to make sure that we're picking good solutions to our needs. And that we're being fair, that we're being equitable in our energy compliance, but let's also remember that we do have an abundance of some energy in this state that we need to be fair with our regulatory processes on. And I absolutely support the oil and gas industry, and those guys know that, but I just want to make sure we're being fair on that, because sometimes I feel like we're not on understand. So thank you for your time.
And we'll continue to welcome any public officials who would like to provide comment. Patrick, do we have any public officials online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll call them here one at a time. I'll start with Morgan Fox.
Good afternoon. My name is Morgan Fox, District Legislative Aide to Representative Henry. On behalf of the Office of House District 54, I work with constituents and local stakeholders to address the challenges and opportunities facing Southeast New Mexico. Southeastern New Mexico is growing rapidly, and with that growth comes a very real and immediate need for more reliable electricity. Our region's homes, schools, hospitals, and businesses, especially those tied to oil and gas, manufacturing, and other industries, are already feeling the strain of a system that cannot keep up with demand. Xcel's proposed investments in new power generation and transmission are a necessary step to address this challenge. The plan will help ensure power is available when it's needed most, particularly during extreme heat or cold. Reliable electricity is not a luxury. It is essential to public safety, economic development, and quality of life. This is not just a southeastern New Mexico issue. If our region cannot sustain reliable power, the economic impacts will be felt statewide, affecting jobs, revenues, and long-term growth. We support efforts that keep the lights on, protect our ratepayers and constituents, strengthen our economy, and move New Mexico toward a stronger energy future in a responsible and practical way. Thank you.
Next online, Kristen Gamboa. Go ahead with your comment.
I'm technically not an elected official.
Okay, moving on to Haley Klein.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here today. I'm glad that you're reaching out to the communities to listen. I'm an Eddy County Commissioner. I also work as the city administrator for the city of Artesia. I'd like to say, first of all, that Eddy County supports Xcel Energy's efforts in this case. As a person who has worked in community and economic development, we desperately need power to sustain growth in Southeast New Mexico. We need reliability and affordability. Absolutely, our citizens need it. We support diversity in energy, and natural gas needs to be part of that conversation. This pressure is on Xcel and our cooperatives to ensure power is accessible, not only to our existing residents and businesses, but allow us to grow in the way we know we can. Every conversation we have about growth in Southeast New Mexico always begins with whether or not there is power to sustain us. We hope that we can have that power so that we can continue to grow in the way we know we can, and in turn support New Mexico. Thank you.
And I wanted to let the elected officials go first, but I do speak for Chaves County. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, want to thank you first of all for coming to Roswell. We appreciate all that you do for our state and for our communities. Without you guys, we'd be lost, so thank you for your time and effort that you put on this. And I'd like to comment on today's topics. Chaves County is requesting that you fully support Xcel Energies and their plans to increase dispatchable capacity within our area. Their plans to provide 2 natural gas plants ensuring that power demands are met not only in Chaves County, but throughout our region, have been carefully developed and will provide clean, dependable, low-cost power for our communities. Xcel's solid plan is not only able to be implemented immediately, but it's designed to continue to reduce emissions during the life of these much-needed assets. Please fully consider their proposal and vote to approve its implementation. Additionally, the planned enhancements to their portfolio on renewable energy projects will help build diversity and long-term options for energy within our area. Chaves County is fully supportive of improvements to transmission infrastructure that's built using traditional methods, utilizing rights of ways and easements requiring the smallest possible amounts of land, while continuing to allow multiple productive uses of land whenever possible. Chaves County is not in favor of any type of use of eminent domain or forced compliance within our community for electric transmission corridors or any routes requiring more than minimal land use for these routes. Additionally, Chaves County is not in favor of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's use of Endangered Species Act to require exorbitant amounts of land be set aside to mitigate potential take of species with any route of a proposed transmission line, energy distribution, or infrastructure. And just want to thank you for your consideration of these comments, and thank you for your willingness to support Xcel Energy and their, like I say, well thought out plan to enhance what we need in our community throughout southeastern New Mexico, and their willingness to continue to build a product that gets better and better and cleaner throughout the life of that. Thank you very much.
I got here a little late. I got hung up in Artesia, but I'm an elected official from Carlsbad.
Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Eddie Rodriguez. I'm Carlsbad City Council, Ward 1. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and voice an opinion and concern. I think that SPS, to follow up on what this gentleman was saying, has a really good plan. And I think that given our natural ability to provide gas in the Permian Basin, that gas plants are one of the things that we can do to help Xcel get to the electrical levels they need. Right now in the oil and gas sector, Xcel is probably a good 10 years behind, and we continue to build. So that time spent just growing longer and longer before they're going to be able to get that to them. So right now we have a lot of gas and oil locations being run on diesel fuel and truck trailer length generators. That's counterproductive to what we're trying to do. And oil and gas is not opposed to renewables. I think we can work alongside that. And one of the major concerns, the main thing I want to say, I was afraid you guys were, well, there's one that's fairly young. There's a couple of you here that will remember the Pogo cartoon from back in the 70s. I have met the enemy and he is us. If we're going to lower our emissions, we really need to look at ways that we can do that. And I think natural gas plants to generate electricity to help us catch up and get those plants running on electricity and get them off of carbon fuel will take us a long ways down that road and get us closer to where we want to be. Not as quickly as we would like, but a whole lot closer. Thank you both all for the time.
Commissioners, thank you for the time. My name is Kevin Biermer. I serve as president of Southeast New Mexico College. You may have known it as New Mexico State University Carlsbad, but we've been an independent college now for 4 years. We are building a $42 million, 40,000 square foot trades and technologies building. And within that building is a program that's directly responsive to the 2019 Energy Transitions Act. And that's an instrumentation, controls, and electrical program. I'm voicing our support as a college for Xcel Energy's request for an exception so they can construct 2 natural gas power plants as well as battery storage, renewable energy projects to come. And the reason why is the future is far more intensive, energy intensive than we knew back when this act was signed 7 years ago. Xcel Energy's request will help us bridge into a future that we can only dream of now. One that may include, who knows, fusion energy, it may include deep geothermal, and the infrastructure that will come with this will allow us to continue to lead American energy independence in this area. That possibility would exist because of our established infrastructure in those days, and the know-how that others can only wish for. And that experience will be a reality if we have your support. We stand ready to assist as a college, and I thank you for the time and the opportunity for us.
Do we have any other public officials? At this point, I'd like to open the floor up to first person who, additional person who would like to provide comment.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to provide comment this afternoon. My name is Tiffany Rivera. I'm the Public Policy Coordinator for New Mexico for Devon Energy. Devon Energy is one of the largest oil and gas producers operating in New Mexico. We operate hundreds of wells and production facilities, primarily in Lee and Eddy County. We directly employ more than 350 New Mexicans and support hundreds more jobs through contractors and suppliers. Reliable and affordable electricity is essential to maintaining our operations and the economic activity that they support. In September 2023, Devon was informed by Xcel via SPS that because of rapidly growing demand and constraints on generation and transmission capacity, the utility could no longer serve new electric load within our operating area. As a result, Devon has had to deploy temporary on-site generation to power certain operations. This solution is costly, inefficient, and not environmentally optimal. Power generation is not a core function of our business, and we would strongly prefer to receive power off of the grid. Devon recognizes and supports the state's long-term clean energy goals under the ETA. At the same time, the extraordinary growth occurring in southeastern New Mexico demonstrates that firm dispatchable generation is still necessary to maintain reliability and protect consumers from higher energy costs and potential outages. The proposal from SPS reflects a balanced path forward. By adding natural gas generation alongside renewable and battery resources, the utility can maintain reliability while continuing progress towards emission reduction. Importantly, approving these projects would allow many operators like ourselves, currently relying on temporary generators, to transition back to cleaner utility supplied electricity, reducing emissions while improving efficiency. We respectfully encourage you all to approve this application in order to support reliability, affordability, and continued economic growth in the region. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Aaron Pollock. I'm the superintendent of the Pecos Valley Artesian Conservancy District. We're the only Artesian Conservancy District in the state. We represent about 110,000 irrigated acres. The vast majority of that is from groundwater, and all of that water needs to be pumped. And about 70% of that water is used for agriculture. And as you probably know, agriculture, those that are engaged in that industry are price takers. They do not have the capacity to pass on those costs to a consumer. And so the price is important and the availability is critical. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment person? Give you some time to think about that, and we'll move to Patrick to check online.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For Zoom, can I get Kristen Gamboa provide comment?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kristen Gamboa, and I serve as Executive Director of the Carlsbad Department of Development. We're the economic development organization representing the City of Carlsbad, Eddy County, as well as 3 key large industries and about 90 small businesses. Reliable and affordable electricity is not an abstract policy issue for our region. It's foundational to our economy, our communities, and our future growth. Here in Southeast New Mexico, especially Carlsbad, we're home to critical industries that power the state and the nation, including oil and gas, potash mining, nuclear operations, and looking at growing advanced energy projects. These industries require dependable electricity to operate safely and efficiently. At the same time, our communities are growing, which you've heard from others speak today. We're working to attract new employers, build housing, and support expanding infrastructure. None of that happens without a stable and affordable energy supply. We support a balanced approach that includes renewable, battery, and dispatchable power that keeps the lights on when solar and wind alone cannot meet the demand. For communities like ours, energy reliability is economic stability. Thank you for your consideration when we support this. Thank you.
Next on Zoom, Jessica.
Thank you so much for hearing us today. We support and encourage Xcel Energy as a better and more logical way to provide more and affordable power, not only to our 400 major chamber members, but for so many reasons stated above, mentioned today, our community members as well. I encourage you to vote yes.
And next, Joe Welburn.
Thank you, Commissioners, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I want to speak on behalf of the oil and gas industry in New Mexico and affordable, reliable, abundant energy in New Mexico. A couple quick facts, you're probably aware of it, but just for the record, since 2019, New Mexico is the second biggest oil producer next to Texas. Since then, we've more than doubled our output, and it's the leading industry in our state, and we rely on the oil and gas industry to support education, childcare, healthcare, nutrition, infrastructure, public improvements, and the list goes on. So as the 10th poorest state in the union, obviously we'd be up the creek without the oil and gas industry, and obviously anyone working in policy, if honest, already knows this. So I want to support our oil and gas industry and just weigh in my strong support for that. In addition, I also want to voice my concerns about our increasing reliance on and expenditures toward unreliable energy. We refer to it as renewable energy sources. We often hear that solar and wind are cheaper or that we want to diversify. But the reality is that you could look at any country, any county, any place that invests heavily in renewable energy ultimately winds up with more expensive energy. Take, for example, Germany. They've invested almost $600 billion in renewable energy in a project called Energiewende. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly in German, but it's for the renewable energy, solar and wind. And they went from the country in the European Union that had among the least expensive, least expensive energy in the European Union to among the most expensive energy. And I'm afraid that's going to happen in New Mexico. And it would be great if we wanted to say, let's just diversify our energy sources for security, or for cost advantages, but unfortunately it doesn't work out that way. So the reason that we're doing that, or New Mexico tends to do it, and everyone tends to do it, is because we think that we're going to improve the climate. And my argument is, if we think we can improve the climate, what's the ROI for New Mexicans for suffering higher energy costs and less reliable energy? So what we really need is reliable, affordable energy, and let's support our oil and gas industry in New Mexico. And I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Beverly, go ahead with your comment.
Sure. Thank you. This is Beverly Itzinga with Dairy Producers of New Mexico. I was actually heading down there to speak in person, but this will work too. Just want to thank the PRC for holding the meetings here in Roswell and on the eastern side of the state. There are currently under 100 dairies in New Mexico right now, which is almost half of what we had 15 years ago. We're still in the top 10 in milk production, number 4 in cheese production, and consistently in the top states in efficiency. We're in support of reliable, affordable energy and future plans for biomass projects that actually work for New Mexico and our dairy industry here, which is different than in other states. And so additional costs and regulations, especially with energy, would not stop the loss of dairies that we're currently experiencing and would prevent any new dairies coming to the state. Excel's proposal aims to balance cleaner energy with dependable power. And thank you for the opportunity to comment and representing the #1 agriculture industry in the state.
Mr. Chair, that's it for public comment online.
Okay, I'll check again. Do we have any additional public comment in the room? Looks like we don't right now, so we'll wait a little bit to see if somebody else comes in to provide public comment either in person or online, and maybe we can check back at 5 o'clock.
Hold it down.
Keep it out there.
Well, oh. Yeah. That's blinking. But I think the microphone over here is working, so, thank you for, being so disciplined and being your own. Impressive. So yeah, I think we might have had a couple of people walk in, so, we welcome any additional public comment that we have here in the room.
Are you looking at me?
He's looking at you.
I promised it. You want me to start?
We've heard a lot about constituents.
Oh. I said I know at least one or two would like to say something. Otherwise, we're gonna recess for another at least half hour.
Oh, my God. Oh. Well, you asked for it.
It's just a warm up for what you got down the hall.
First, I want to thank you for being here. It's very important. Oh, my God, here she came. You had to make a grand entrance when I was just starting.
That's the reason.
Senator from 32. Oh, she doesn't cause any problems because I've had a sterling reputation in 32 for a while until, well, anyway, I better quit there.
You might tell us who you are.
You want me to be. I'm Ken Jennings and I started in Travis County in 74 to 78 and I went to state senate from 79 to 12. And I've been mayor of Roswell for about 4 years, going on 5 up to 8. And I want to thank you all for being here. I'm really glad you're here because there are some things that you should know and hear about our electric as I see it as somebody who grew up in New Mexico. And back in the day, we had Southwestern Public Service that actually started here. And now it's the oldest company that belongs to Xcel Energy, I think, started in continuous use, but Xcel bought them out, and I'm gonna tell you, we've been very, very fortunate because of Xcel Energy. They are extremely business friendly. And then, I mean, we never had the things like they had at P&M with Jerry Geist and the salaries that he paid. And all that, all the way through our life. Xcel Energy and its predecessor, Southwestern Public Service, have given us in southeastern New Mexico a fair break. And I say that because I've learned enough over all these years to know that we're the end of the line. Everybody else east or west of here is on the West Coast grid, and we're on the East Coast grid. That doesn't mean anything to anybody except you got 3,600 cycles or something on that clock, and they're not in tune with each other. We have to have a DC line that goes all the way across us to swap electricity from one plant to the other. Some of the things that I think happened, we used to have a lot of natural gas plants, which I think are extremely beneficial to New Mexico. And I can tell you the reasons for why it's so beneficial. If you look at our state and you look at the economic development in the Northwest and what we have in the Northwest and the Southeast, we have natural gas. Problem is the gas in the Northwest is basically landlocked, go basically straight to California. And it was all fine until 1984. We were drilling all kinds of wells, and up to 84, we were drilling a lot of wells north of Roswell. And California went out and they put a pipeline, PG&E bought a bunch of wells in Canada, put a big pipeline all the way down the coast. And when they put that down the coast, as big as that line was, you know, they already had the cost of the line in, so the more gas they ran through it, the cheaper it was to operate for their constituents at home. And they turned off buying our gas, just like you just turn a switch. They turned that off and quit buying gas from New Mexico. And when they did that here in Roswell, we suffered greatly because we had all these companies drilling gas wells up north of town, and they all shut off. There was not any word in the world from California except, see you later. That's the only thing I'll say about that. Probably use some other adjectives, but I should. And if you look at that and look at California, what they've done. They never bought gas from this pipeline. The pipelines that came from northern New Mexico, came down Colorado and stuff and went across the state. They never bought that in between state prices. They bought it only at the lowest price they could buy because they said, we don't have anybody to sell ours to, so it's not in between our state. And I don't think that was the feeling of the whole law as the law was made back then. And I think they were extremely selfish. And I'm gonna tell you, I think they're still selfish. When you look at that, they won't let our trucks go into California and pick up produce at the port that comes home, that comes here. We can't do that because we don't meet their environmental standards. So if that's the case, you know, maybe we ought to have a severance tax on energy that's produced in New Mexico, just like anything comes out of the ground. The sun and solar is just as much natural energy as anything comes out of the ground. We should have a severance tax on every bit of solar gas and electricity that leaves this state. We ought to have a solar tax on them. And we don't, that it's not a solar tax, it's just a severance tax. We built every school in this state, every university, except for the dorms, on income from our severance tax fund. It's where it's all come from. And most of our capital outlays, and you know, when you leave this town, and you go north and you go back to Santa Fe, I want you, when you go through that down 285 and look at that beautiful, beautiful bridge. It was just like one that we have where 70 goes over 285. It's some of the prettiest blue steel you've ever seen in your life. It is so pretty, and yet anytime you go by an overpass in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, or anywhere else, number one, the roads are already, instead of being a 2-lane bypass, the roads are a 4-lane bypass. And the other thing, they have lizards, snakes, they have rabbits, they have owls all on the side, decorating every bridge that goes out in their town. You don't ever have anything just cold blue steel. That's all we have. And I'm not greedy about that stuff. I'm just saying, you know, somewhere there needs to be equity in funding for what we do and what we get. And when this state gets, oil and gas gives 52% or 50% of the money in this state to run it, damn sure ought to be treated better than that. And I mean that, and I mean, by natural gas, electric generation, we should have that. That should be something that we can use and buy our own gas and use our own gas so we can add more money to the severance tax fund. And, you know, we really need to do things like that. And, you know, when I looked about us being on the East Coast or the West Coast grid, you know, that West Coast grid has never been very friendly. But the East Coast has been real good in Southwestern Public Service. I'm the first ranch off of Southwestern or of BDACD, in RT. I'm the first one off of that line. And my electric rates are probably 60% more than what on the other half of my ranch. And it wasn't my ranch, it was, we sold it, and the board member on PVP got the East Coast grid to come serve him. And it was all part of the same ranch. They did that, but they wouldn't come on over and serve us. And it's just one of those things that happened, but their electricity is a lot cheaper and it's a lot more stable. But when you look at what Xcel has done with their toll station and all of those things, we have extremely stable electricity here. We very seldom have an outage. And there's not many places in this country that can say that. Xcel is that good, and so when you look at that, it costs us dearly not to really have Xcel go across the whole state, because had they been going across, we wouldn't have near the outages we have in Mayhill and Otero and all that stuff, and at our ranch, I wouldn't have those houses that I have. And right now, I know to put, water line or power lines to generate wells and run wells and for 3 or 4 miles, it costs so much money, you can't do it. And right now, I generate 500 gallons with 500 gallons of diesel a month. I run a generator almost 300 days a year, just generating electricity so I can pump water for state animals. I don't get paid for it. I don't hunt them, I don't do any, don't sell hunts, but I have to do that for the state animals as well as mine. And when you look at all this stuff, the solar tax is really something that is needed for the benefit of New Mexico children. We need to have that energy tax so we can keep funding the things. Remember, out of all the gas and oil that we produce here, federal government takes half. Half. And we don't get, we're one of the poorest states in the country. What are we funding that for? I mean, it's okay if you fund stuff on income tax and think, we can figure that out. But we don't need to fund the whole rest of the country, New York and all these cities that do so well, California, that does so well on the backs of our poor people. That's all things that we could do better and have better schools and better transportation. And if we had that kind of stuff. And so, one of the things that we really need desperately, and this is not dealing necessarily with your electricity, but it's that pipeline, a gas pipeline that comes down from out of Colorado, goes from Farmington down through Las Cruces, down into Mexico and goes straight to the Gulf. Because if we have that, it could increase the amount of money that the state of New Mexico gets on severance tax by a huge amount, because you would no longer have to dump our gas at the cheapest price out there. And this way, if we go down there, they're not gonna let you build an LNG plant for transporting LNG in California or anywhere on the coast. They'll never let you do that. You go down to Mexico and do it, and it'd be good for us to help Mexico with some economic development too. And so I really hope, I know that's not exactly what you have, but when you look about electricity and how it has to work, we need to have that. We need to have more natural gas plants again here. Our severance tax needs to apply to electric energy. Go look at all these plants. We had a beautiful skyline driving from Roswell all the way to Santa Fe. It was beautiful. And you look at it now, the only thing you see are those huge wind turbines. It's all the way up there, all up 285. The only place they don't have them is around the Lackey Ranch. That's because they refused to sell it. And then they put a big transmission line right down their fence line. But Charlie Waller, who I happened to be lucky enough to work for when I was a child, well, I guess I probably still am, but it was not quite that old. I was a lot younger then. When he built his ranch up there and just before you get to, is the last ranch before you get to Pine Swamp. He had a 50 or 75 foot pathway all the way down around the outside of his ranch, because he was the largest sheep herder in the United States at one time. And he raised sheep on that ranch, and he had a net wire fence that went down from the ground out from his fence and one that went up. And he wanted his road to drive around the outside because he could drive around and check for mountain lions and coyotes getting in his fence to kill his sheep. Because a mountain lion doesn't kill one sheep, it'll kill every sheep in the canyon. So he did that. Well, they put that power line right down his fence line. Well, the problem was, they should have surveyed it before they did it. Because they put that right down his fence on private property. And then now they're still squealing about that, but they should have surveyed it before they did it. So in all, I just want to tell you, we really need natural gas generation. I'm hoping we have a really good shot at getting an artificial or AI plant out here north of Roswell, where they can take gas right straight out of that pipeline that we have that goes across the country and generate electricity for AI. We have the water for it, and it would be extremely beneficial for us to participate in the AI situation. As mayor, I hope we can really get that. We need all the help we can to get that. And, we could, if we put a good enough solar tax on that, on that energy tax on that, we could help those guys build that AI plant with some economic development from the state. Just things to look at. I know it's a little different. And it's so important when you look at things, because being on the outside of this and being from Roswell, one of the things I had to do was sit on the Indian and Public Affairs Committee for a long time in Santa Fe. And my first office mate was Senator Pinto. But I learned a lot about the Navajo Nation and how much my card, I have a black sheep on here, and that's because we used to raise sheep. We were one of the first sheep growing ranches and acquired fenced ranches in southeastern New Mexico. And so sheep have always been in our ranch for a long time, but we had to get rid of them because of the mountain lions they put in Carlsbad County. So I've always followed the Navajos and Two Sheep Springs and all their place up there. But the only jobs the Navajo had was in that part that they got about 600 or 700 jobs that paid $70,000 a year running that power plant that was in northern New Mexico, and they closed it down. And all the green people closed it down because it was coal fired and how bad it was. Not clean it or anything else. They closed it down. Not one green group or anybody else gave any consideration to the jobs those 600 or 700 Navajos had hauling coal to that plant. And that's wrong. Because when you look up in the Northwest, there's 350,000 Navajos that live up there and cities, and they don't have economic development. And that's all they had, and not one person cared about the jobs that they took from those Navajos. But for my time in the legislature, each one of those jobs had connections to like 37 people on that nation. And so that's some of the best development they had. And so I just ask you to look at this and look at economic development we have. In the rural areas, we don't have economic development. It's very difficult to get. And as I strive to get people to do this, come out here to the base with the air center that has 5,500 acres in it. I mean, it's extremely difficult because I don't have a way to finance a 777 hangar for $22 or $25 million. They don't have a way to give them $3 million of an incentive or something to. And that's, we kind of need to have those kind of things to get economic development in southeastern New Mexico, that Carlsbad Hops, when you look at what they're doing, being the number 1 and number 2 oil producing counties in the whole country. I mean, and they're drilling those wells and they're going down and doing those things 200 feet apart, and it's amazing what they're doing. They not only got pipe to bend and turn 90 degrees, they've got it where it does your turn or something. And I mean, that's stuff we need to have. So anyway, thank you so much for coming. I don't want to belittle stuff too much, but Xcel Energy is a fantastic company because they call us and ask us what we want. They help us develop shovel-ready sites or electric-ready sites for business to locate in. They come right out there, right out front. They help us on all that stuff. Mike McClode was a gem, and we have a new man now, but Mr. McClode was fantastic on working with elected officials. And there's not one elected official I know in this southeastern New Mexico that would complement Xcel Energy and Southwestern Public Service. They've been here forever, and they have given us great service. And I just wish we could serve the rest of the state, because the other part, anybody that does what these people do is fantastic. And if we could put a power plant here and generate electricity and send it straight over to keep it in our own state, it'd be very, very beneficial to all of us. And even if we brought the line down and generated it in the northwest corner, they need the jobs too. So thank you, and I'm sorry if I talked too long. If you want to ask any questions, I'll be glad to do it. If you want to know what I'm gonna shut up. Oh.
I just know that that's a precursor for what's gonna happen down the hall in a few. City council meeting.
Oh, you know what? We have to say before perfect seats right in front. Thank you. Sorry if I go on too long, but that's just the way I felt.
Well, thank you. I was worried we weren't gonna have any more comments, so thank you. Does anybody want to follow that?
You want me to introduce you?
Well, is anybody ahead of me wants to come?
I was the new senator from 32. Huh? Yeah, but he can't already say old senator from 30.
That's true. Good afternoon, members of the commission. I'm Kathy Spence-Ezell. I'm a farmer and a rancher. I grew up down on the very southern end of Travis County. We did most of our business in Artesia. Right now, I am state senator. What was I thinking? I represent Travis County and Eddy County, and I'm proud to do it. I'm a 5th generation New Mexican. We've been here a while. The first call I made whenever I was here, called about this meeting that was going to come, was to call Central Valley Electric. They were the ones that came out in the country first, and I appreciate the job that they have done. They are totally owned by the members that they serve, and I wanted to make sure that this would not impact Central Valley at all. Board members and the general manager all said this will benefit Central Valley Electric because they do take part in trying to supply the oil patch down there. As was stated earlier, I got caught up with what he was saying. Whenever the money that goes up to Santa Fe to fund our state, whenever 50% of that money does go to build our schools, our first responders, libraries, our roads, everything else, it's important to me that this does not impact them. What we're trying to do here will enhance what they're trying to do. I've got to put my glasses on. SPS was first incorporated by the Hinkle Law Firm right here in Roswell, New Mexico. That's been a long, long time ago, I see what this might do would strengthen the operation performances of Xcel Energy, which is a good thing. It will furnish the area that is in need right now, which is the whole southeastern corner of our state, with energy reliability and affordability. It will also help with our economic growth. It will help our tax base, and it will provide much needed jobs down here. Power needs for southeastern New Mexico are great. We have lots of farms down here that rely on irrigation. And we have to get that water top of the ground to grow our crops to help feed America. We have the oil field that everybody up in Santa Fe from the northern part of the state and the western part of the state want to see go away. They seem to forget that the money comes from this area of the state. We have to have the power to get the job done. We have the cleanest oil that there is in the world. Let's take advantage of it, folks. Let's see, where are we at? Many years ago, there was a storm that came through the state that was impacted everybody throughout the state. Whenever the renewable energy aspect of the grid was impacted because the turbines froze up. Folks, we have to have an alternate plan in place before we can go any further. And that includes, in my opinion, it includes coal-fired plants. We cannot do away with our coal-fired plants. While we're on the subject of the wind turbines, as was stated earlier, I used to have a beautiful skyline. Now I can look to the east from where I'm living at the farm, and all I see is red flashing lights. Drive north going to Santa Fe, and the same thing is happening there. Over by Carrizozo, going north up to, in that direction towards Duran. What I'm seeing there, that is the biggest wind turbine field that there is in the United States right now. What are we doing to our landscape here? Where is that energy going? Are they paying New Mexico for that? Or are we gonna become their wasteland whenever those turbines quit? While we were in session, the first bill that hit us was Senate Bill 18. It was one of the most god-awful bills I've ever heard in my life while I've been up there, and I've been up there for 22 years now. And I just shake my head. Oh, it was awful. Zero emissions by 2050. 2050, zero emissions. You know what that would do to our state? It would absolutely shut our state down. We have people out there that want to do away with our fossil fuels. I always remind them, how did you get to work today? If you walk, what type of shoes do you have on? Do you have on tennis shoes? Thank your oil and gas industry for supplying those. You put on lotion this morning, thank the oil and gas industry. If you put on lipstick today, I hope y'all didn't, but if you did, that's okay too. Thank the oil and gas industry. You rode your bicycle, thank the oil and gas industry. You had tight rubber tires on that bicycle. During that particular bill hearing, it was heard on the Senate floor. Secretary of the Environment was sitting right in front of me. And I asked him, let's be real clear about where I'm going with this. Do you know how many tons go down hole to hold up a wind turbine? He had no clue. It's 900 tons, 900 tons of cement that goes down hole. I asked him what happens with the spent blades whenever they do get out of kilter. You don't replace just one blade, you have to replace all three of them because they do warp. He had no clue there. I did know the answer to that. I usually don't ask a question unless I know the answer to it. Those blades are chopped up, ground up, and then spread out in the landfill. That gives me great concern. Solar panels are great, I guess. We have some out on our ranch where we do not have electricity out. My husband got tired of me crawling up the towers, changed the oil off. So we went solar. There's a place for solar energy. There's probably a place for the wind turbines as well. But what are you going to do with those broken panels? You're still going to have the extraction industry get the job done, whether it's solar panels that are out in the field or the solar panels or the electric part of the cars on these new electric cars. We have the resources in New Mexico to provide lots and lots of stuff that has an economic impact in our state. We have to make sure that we have fuel diversity and energy security during extreme weather. Coal-fired plants is a good way to have it because right now I don't see very much way to store the energy that is needed through wind turbines or solar electricity. Right now, this is what gets me. The state legislature has said by 2045, they want 0 carbon emissions. And if no emissions will increase. It's not reliable without a backup source. Too many people, such as myself, do work outside all day long. Like I said before, I'm a farmer and a rancher. But whenever I go in my house, I want to be able to turn on the lights and the lights come on. It's hot outside, I want that air conditioner to be able to turn on. We have to have a reliable source of energy. I do live out in the rural area. I have all my life. Everybody in New Mexico wants clean air. They want clean water. We want clean energy, but we want reliable power, and we shouldn't have to choose. With what SPS is doing with Xcel Energy to provide service to our particular area, is making sure that for the southeastern corner of the state, we do have the power necessary to get the job done. As I said before, this is going to help with our economic development, enhance our tax base, and help with growth. So thank you all for taking all of this into consideration, and that I'm here as well to answer any questions that y'all may have. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your perspective. Yes, please.
Well, I'd echo everybody's comments. We really appreciate the commission coming down, doing this tour, and in particular coming down to Roswell. We think it's valuable and important that you hear from people of Southeast New Mexico, because this is about people and our state's people and their future. I'll just tell you, Chad Cole, Vice President of Business Affairs for Eastern New Mexico University Roswell campus. We train students in welding these pipelines, working on this equipment. So we've got a vested interest in this. But again, it comes back to people and communities. Can give you tons of examples with regard to weather-related power outages, those types of things. We've certainly seen in other states rolling blackouts, what those look like and the impacts they have. Sure. So we think it's critically important. I'll give you a perfect example that the mayor can relate to, the 2024 Super Bowl. You think about when we lost power to our wastewater treatment facility. And unfortunately, it's Murphy's Law. We also lost our backup generator capacity. I will test that thing every week, but that particular week it did not work. And the way that worked, we lost power for several hours, and those things started filling up. And the next step was you're going to see manhole covers popping off and coming back through the bathtubs and all those types of things. So it's kind of important to have reliable, cost-effective, and efficient power capacity with some longevity. Senator talked about solar panels and windmill turbines. Those things have a useful life, but typically it's around 25 years if you're lucky, depending on what type of product you buy. With natural gas facilities, those things are maintained and extended much longer than 25 years typically. And again, your universities are training the next generation of people that can work on those pipelines. So we think it's important. I'll mirror and reflect same comments with regard to our Xcel Energy partner here in Roswell, Chatham County. They've been outstanding work with not only with the college, but with the city and the county as well. And they just been over backwards
And they're the first responders when we lose power. And they do an excellent job of keeping everyone informed. The university here in Roswell campus certainly supports Xcel Energy and the proposal for new power generation transmission projects to bring reliable energy to the region. We think the two natural gas plants are very important, particularly the southeast of Mexico, as well as the renewable energy and battery resources. Again, thinking in terms of longevity and useful lives of those types of power sources and capacity. We're also very familiar with some of the natural disasters here in Roswell and having power capacity and how valuable and important that becomes. I'll tell you, the university is our emergency shelter facility. We don't have a generator on that. Power is critically important, and the reliability of that power is very important as well. So with that, I'll just say that the university is a very strong supporter of Xcel Energy's proposal. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for that comment. Is there anybody else in person? Excuse me, in person? Patrick, can you check online, please?
Mr. Chair, we don't have any commenters online.
Okay, so I think then we will come back at 6 o'clock and see if we have any additional public comment. We'll check online. Then if we don't have anything at 6 o'clock, then maybe we'll wait until 6:15 to see. Sir, would you like to provide public comment?
No, I'm just here to look cute. Good luck.
Okay, so we'll come back at 6 o'clock. Anybody new walk in, but if you do want to provide public comment, please raise your hand. Yes. Okay.
He wanted to be last.
Sure.
Now the politicians are through. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you for coming to South Dakota.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That's all right. My name is Cliff Wade. I'm a resident outside of Hagerman, 1 mile south of here. I'm a customer of both CBE and XL, which both provide excellent service. XL's been great to work with through the years as I served on the town council in Hagerman for about 11 years, and later it's over 13. And anytime there was a problem, they were prompt to respond. I feel that I'm a proponent of all the above as far as sources of energy. I think coal will be is a very stable production and needs to be re-looked at. Maybe put back on. It's consistent. When we get down to our renewable energies, they are inconsistent at times, but so we need something to take up the gap. And whereas these natural gas turbines generators will be able to do that. I think that that's a very good sensible idea. And that's basically all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other in-person public comment? Okay. Okay, so we don't have any online and no more in-person public comments, so I think we'll wait until 6:15, and if we don't have any public comment, if we do, we'll go ahead and take it, but if we don't, we'll adjourn at 6:15. Well, online.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah,
I'm online.
we do have one in-person
Good, go ahead.
comment, so we'll go ahead and
Okay.
take you. Yeah, yours. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Dara Dana, 6574 Cherokee Road, Dexter, New Mexico. Thank you very much. I did not know about this and I think it's wonderful. I was briefed on it. I think it's great. New Mexico, as all of you know, we are sitting on a lot of great natural resources that we underutilize. So I think this is something, especially if we are looking at using alternative energies, resources. I believe that our approach needs to be all of the above, everything. And we need to look at it. But we also need to take into considerations what resources that we have here in our great state. It produces jobs. It uses the resources that we have, but it also achieves what we're trying to do and use everything in order to power. So I really think this is a wonderful idea. Taking it slowly, making sure that everything is in place and that it is correct, it's safe, and it will achieve what the end goal is. So I appreciate y'all being in Travis County. Thank you for coming down here. Thank you to Greg Nybert. Nice to see you, Senator. I appreciate it. But thank you so much. Enjoy Travis County, and I'm glad you're going around the state. We have a beautiful state, and y'all need to get out of Santa Fe. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that comment. So once again, yeah, we'll go ahead and wait until 6:15 to see if we have any additional comment, and if we do, we'll go ahead and take them as they come.
Go ahead and.
Okay, so it's 6:15 now, and we don't have anybody waiting online to provide public comment. I haven't seen anybody new in person to provide comments. Wave at me if you do want to. So, just a reminder that we do accept public comment at all of our regular open meetings, which we have every other Thursday. We had one today. And also accept public comments in a written form and through PRC E360. And so I just want to close out by thanking everybody who provided comments. This has been a valuable trip for us and really appreciate hearing your perspectives. So with that, are there any closing remarks from the commissioners? Okay, so then we are adjourned.